the Economic Times exclusive series of conversation with the senior leadership of the Indian industry. As a part of this premium series, I, Arpita Mukherjee, Professor ICRIER, I am in conversation with Mr. Vikram Mehra, Managing Director of Saregama, India, and we are trying to explore a very interesting subject. You know, how do OTT and the screen coexist in this world of COVID-19 pandemic, where you see sometimes that there are lockdowns, you are unable to go to the theater, theaters are not running in their full swing. Now, if you take the two platforms, while we get so used to moving between the two platforms, it is one platform that gives you a different kind of an experience. You go almost like to enjoy to a mall, to a theater with your friends and family, sit over a bucket of popcorn, you have a big screen experience. At the same time, OTT is coming up in a big way. And OTT, sometimes it looks like many films are only being released in OTT due to the COVID. On the other, OTT has also given you the industry a wide choice to select different platforms and options to reach out to their public. Now, you know, when these multiple ways of taking your content out to the public comes into the picture, there is always a question how the revenues are divided, what will survive, what will die, and what will happen to the subscription of the different platforms that we look into. And no other than Vikram can help us to understand that better. Now, Vikram has a very illustrious career. He has been the director of Saregama India before this, and he has also a film studio, which is, now a lot of talk is about Udal's films. He is also the chairman of the Indian music industry, and therefore kind of a patron of taking the music industry into the global platform. He has several years of experience in Tata Group across a range of Tata organizations like Tata Motors, TCS, Tata Sky. He has also worked with Star as vice president for 4 years, and he has also seen the cable, the direct to home story. So you have seen these multiple platforms, Vikram. And my first question to you is that how do you see this OTT industry and the big screen surviving? Is it a disruption or it is a collaboration and they both can survive together?
Okay, thanks a lot. I don't have as illustrious career as you making it sound. Just learning in this entertainment industry. My first point, I think every generation thinks that they are undergoing through some massive change and transformation, and no generation before that has ever gone through it. And I think we make a fundamental mistake out there. Change is the only constant we all know in our lives. When television came, people thought right now it will be the biggest change this world has ever seen. When mobile first time we started watching content, on the YouTubes and the Facebooks of the world, we thought nothing can become bigger than that, and it's going to disrupt the industry. Piracy is going to take over, and now it's coming to the OTT part. At the end of the day, the core need of customers like you and me is to get ourselves entertained. Whether it's through music or series or digital series or films, the need is for entertainment. Now, the question is, when I'm getting entertained right now, how do I get entertained? Earlier, the only conventional way of getting entertained was to go to a movie hall to watch a movie. Then when television came in right now, television started playing that role. And somewhere, I remember every 31st December, they used to put 2 movies back to back. And that used to be my biggest high in life, that one could watch 2 movies without going into theater. And we thought that's a biggest change. And when literally when a movie channel got launched, we thought that's where now nobody's going to go back to the movie industry to watch the movies in theater. That never happened. And I'm reasonably confident that with OTT coming in, and I'm a huge believer of OTT, I think OTT is going to open one more avenue for us to get entertained. It is not going to go out there and start eating into the theatrical revenue. Let me give you another example. We are seeing cloud kitchens everywhere. My wife runs very successful cloud kitchens. And one would have thought that if I can order food, why should I ever go to a restaurant? Everything can come home. Why am I going to the restaurant? Why am I spending my time and energy going to a restaurant? But the fact of life is, because I can order food, the number of times I'm eating outside food has gone up. So the ordering is eating into my home cooked food is not necessarily eating into my restaurant food. Same thing is going to happen with theater. When I want to go out there and get this peak experience, right, with this high quality audio and video coming in, sitting with my friends, and I know nobody can disturb me at that particular time, I will always go to a theater. I recently went out there to watch 83 in a theater. No experience can match it, because that time you're cut off from the world. And when the emotional scenes were going on right now, I was as emotional and choked up as I think I was in 1983 when I was hearing this commentary. That's the magic of theater. But what OTT is doing is now opening avenues for content creators to put up content which did not have appeal to the lowest common denominator. Theaters, at the end of the day, content which is more massy, content which is big, is the content that's going to go back and move. But there is a lot of scope and need for relatively niche content. That content never saw the light of the day in the good old world. Some of the work that Nasir Saab and Smita Patil and Shabana ji and Deepthi ji have gone out there and done, that work was so brilliant. But not many people ended up watching that content at that time in the theaters. That content, if it come today right now, I'm sure there's a huge market sitting in. So OTT is opening up an altogether different opportunity for content creators to monetize and people like you and I to enjoy.
Yeah, this is so very true. And also, as you see the change in the ways the platforms are different kind of ways in which consumers can be entertained today. And you see an integration within the industry, like, in 20 years or 30 years before, it would be Saregama only into music. And now I was looking at your film studio, Yodlee Films, like, you are venturing into multiple, and the industry is becoming integrated. How do you see this integration happening, and how does it helps us to get prominence in both the Indian market and the global market? We have seen that, just to put a context, we had seen this kind of integration in the US quite early. Like, they had a very integrated market, and India was always thought to be a very fragmented from the supplier side.
So as industries start evolving, you will always see fragmentation giving way to a consolidation happening, because scale starts becoming extremely important. Let me talk about music. Today, companies like ours release on an average 2 to 3 songs a day. That's just scale you're talking about. You're talking about going 700-800 songs, 900 songs in a year. So if a smaller company claims to fight this, at times can get difficult. Then to get visibility in this world, where everybody is fighting for eyeballs, those fights results into more and more consolidation happening. You can give better breaks to the artist in that case. You can monetize the content better. The second point you asked is there a natural synergy between music and films and series? We believe it is, right? And the way we people function at Yodlee, by the way, Yodlee is our hat tip to the yodeling of Kishore Kumar. So the name of Yodlee Films has come from our biggest singer whose catalog we people have right now, Kishore Da. So in Yodlee Films, all the films of ours, we end up using the music of our catalog. So you will find very often Rafi साहब के गाने या बर्मन दा के गाने या गुलजार साहब के लिखे हुए गाने getting incorporated. These are old songs which the younger generation is not introduced to. We get those songs, put them in the latest Yodlee films, and the songs end up getting a fresh life for themselves once again. So there's a nice symbiotic relationship which is going in out there on a music side, film side, and series side. At the end of the day, I think every company has to think for themselves right now, what business are they in? At Saregama, we understand we are only in one business: create IP, monetize IP. That IP can be short format, long format, music, podcast, doesn't matter. We are an IP company, and we will keep on creating new IPs and finding innovative ways to monetize that IP. The product that we people launched 4 years ago called Karma, which became a big success and has won all kind of awards. That Carva is nothing else. You can ask me right now, what is a content company doing in electronics business?
Mhm.
But Carva was another way for us to monetize IP.
And that brings me to my third question: how easy or difficult it is to monetize IP? Like how compliant are we with WIPO, and whether you see some places where we can move forward in the IP part of the story?
We have come a long way in this country on the IP side. I remember my Tata Sky days, even a decade back, where it used to be normal in the big cities for pirated DVDs and pirated CDs to be sold at every nook and corner of a country. There were so many of rogue websites that which used to put up music belonging to Saregama, and there was very little we could go out there and do. I think both carrot and stick policy, which has worked in the interest of not just music companies but also the film IP owning companies. Carrot to the extent that now it's so easy for you to access any song at the press of a button by going either to a Savan or to a Spotify or to a Ghana or going on YouTube, that people are thinking, why should I go for pirated content at all? Easy, easy access to IP is what's helping it out. On the other side, I think government has been very, very helpful in coming out with rules and policies and a very active judiciary, which respects the value of IP and is coming to the protection of the IP owners. Remember, I don't know why in we were earlier used to think कि अगर मैंने किसी की चेयर चोरी कर ली तो वो तो चोरी है, और गाना चोरी कर लिया तो वो चोरी नहीं है. I don't understand this part. Somebody's blood and sweat has gone into creating that song. That person also needs to make a living. They also have a family to feed. The piracy of content is as big a piracy right now of a physical object. And I think that realization is slowly and slowly dawning upon. You were asking me what are the big issues. I think the another big issue right now, which everybody is grappling with world over, is the responsibility of the platforms on the content that is writing out there
Yes.
on the platform. Um, is platform owner not responsible at all? Can all platform owners hide behind safe harbor policy, saying that they're not responsible for any content, and if any wrong content is put up, it's the onus is on the IP owner to inform them and for them to pull down the content? I'm not fully convinced about it. Right? There was a time this argument was valid when this argument was more on the ISPs. They were a dump pipe through which content used to flow in. Holding them responsible for that content was wrong. But in today's world, where platforms are monetizing and making tons of advertising revenue basis the content which is running there, somewhere they have a responsibility for the content which is being put up on their platform.
This is very well said. And now, regarding, since the industry is booming, and since we have all these multiple platforms creating opportunities for new content, how do you look at this employment? Like, certain areas, do you see that employment is likely to stagnate in the theater and it's grow under the content development, or do you see that all of them will create employment?
This is where the most amazing first stuff is happening. Earlier, creativity was a domain of very few families, very few of us living in Bombays and Delhis and Calcuttas of the world. Now, with the help of Instagram, Daily, Josh, Moj, Triller, Chingaris of the world, creativity has gone out there to the deepest parts of this country. Today, anyone can shoot a video using their phone. Cameras in the hands of everyone. They can put it up on an Instagram, and overnight, if the song that video picks up, they become celebrities, and that content is what you and I watch. So technology has genuinely gone out there and democratized content creation. Anybody can go out there and create content if they have creativity in them, and which is giving rise to a large amount of fresh kind of employment which is happening. There are many times when we people are working now with on social people with social media, they don't come from Bombay, Delhi. They may be living out there in an Ajmer or maybe living in Jaunpur, but they have a decent enough fan following on a Moj application or a Josh application, and we work with them to create new content. So I think you will see um, That's the job creation opportunities connected to entertainment getting deeper and deeper into our country.
And so has been my next question is related to the mobiles. Mobiles have kind of revolutionized many areas, and in some cases it is said that mobile gives inclusion to from rock bottom of the society to music and others, which were considered to be a very elite kind of access. And mobile has enhanced the access. Do you think this access enhancement has been beneficial for the industry?
For sure. I'll tell you, this is something I always quote. Earlier, remember a decade back, if you had ever gone to Korea or China, Hong Kong is a good example. I used to laugh at those guys that anybody who was walking on the streets was glued to the phone. They were sitting in the train, they were looking into the phone. And I used to think right now, these are different world. Indians are not like this. Today, if I ask you, right, let me take your example. Suppose you tell me right now you need to take a break for 30 seconds. My first instinct is going to be pick up my phone and
Yes.
start consuming something. We are never for a moment without a phone. The days of daydreaming are over. If we have 30 seconds free, we'll be glued to the phone. Then you look at the Western world. Used to find it funny there that people used to watch different pieces of content at any part time. In India, television was the modern world fireplace. Entire family used to congregate and used to watch Kaun Banega Crorepati in front of it. TV was never supposed to be watched alone. Today, husband and wife who are not heading for a divorce are also sitting in the same room and watching two different pieces of content, all courtesy this world of mobile. Mobile has really ensured right now that more and more people have access to the content that they want to watch and not content that the entire family wants to watch, which is a great opportunity for content creators. I can make content for a specific segment and not necessarily content that appeals to everyone in the family. And you can see it in the kind of movies that are coming out there. My time, the movies used to be Amar Akbar Anthony, right? Great movies, but they used to talk to every member in the family.
Yes.
Now, a lot of content we people create right now talks only to youngsters, maybe talking to the older people, maybe talking to a particular kind of people, and there's a market for everything.
My next question is a bit futuristic, but as we go forward, so it's a kind of your short term, medium term and long term vision. Prime Minister has already called for a vision 47 to be announced in the Independence Day, and
Great.
we are also looking into trade agreements and export. And then in this context, we are talking about building audiovisual brand India. What are you looking at this brand as we go into the global platforms? So what I want to understand is, what are the different kinds of mergers and acquisitions that can happen? What kind of clientele? Can we go beyond the non-resident Indians and the South Asian into a wider content? That's one part. How do we appeal to the, how does the Western world appeal to the Chinese, and can we appeal in the same way to the Chinese and other big populations? And then along with that, a very question allied with that which comes up is your current expectations. Like, what is your expectations from the budget, from the foreign trade agreement, from the government as it goes in for the trade agreement? So these are two very globalized kind of questions.
Very macro questions.
Very macro and globalized question, but I package them together because it is much easier to answer them together rather than to think, okay, what happens in 1940?
It always also to duck out of a one question immediately. But our biggest strength as a country is also a biggest weakness. In a 1.3 billion population is a strength because we companies can become very big just catering to the 1.3 billion population of ours. The market is that big here. But it's also a weakness because we never feel the need to go beyond this, because managing the 1.3 billion population itself is a massive, massive task, because ours is not a homogeneous population. If you look at entertainment industry, it was extremely focused on Hindi and to some extent Punjabi. The Tamil and the Telugu could never become mainstream. The Bhojpuris of the world and Haryanvis of the world were always treated as very small industries limited into their own areas. Our first immediate challenge right now is that as an entertainment industry, we need to ensure that the regional level content first gets seen becomes a national level content. Why should why should I sitting in Bombay be more uh, finding Spanish content more accessible, but I'm not watching Tamil and Telugu content? I don't understand this issue. I think if you ask me, that's a bigger challenge and the onus that many of content owning companies and content delivering platforms have to take. That can we make our content at a pan India level? At least appeals to everyone here. Our second issue is every time we look at making content for outside India, there's such a large NRI population sitting in. Then we start saying, just do what is the external content? Big Punjabi, Gujarati style content to be done because there's a large Punjabi, Gujarati population living outside, and we know we can make lots of money through that. Going beyond that and actually talking to non Indians, I don't think any of us are rising up to that challenge. we but now as creators, when we see the success of series like Squid Games, a Korean series, or a Narcos, you start thinking it, do we lack creativity? I don't think so. I think what we people lack is ability to think very big and believe that we can also produce the same level content if we just put a heart and wallet there. You cannot make create content with one eye on minimizing your losses. You need to create content with one eye on maximizing its reach and profits, and then you make high quality content. The other part, which is a narrow part in my industry, is I don't think in our country entertainment is very hero. When I say hero, heroine driven, I think we need to give far more weightage to our writers, to our composers, to our lyricists than just the face that we people see in front of the camera. I think more work needs to go out there and happen. Yes, I'll be I'll be, I'll be, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm very, very sure that by before 2047, you will see India emerging as a major content creator whose content will start getting recognition at the global level by an average Joe there, right? We have absolutely phenomenal directors like Satyajit Ray, but an average American may not have heard of anything of Satyajit Ray, right? But an average Indian now has started following many of the American directors and many of the American writers and actors. By 2047, I'm reasonably sure that the way the industry is moving, we will be heard and seen by people outside India too.
And for the current budget or the foreign trade policy?
See, on the current budget part, my limited thing is that I think many of parts of the entertainment industry have been under serious amount of stress over the last 2 years, especially anything which is connected to the world of movies, because the theaters have been under a lot of pressure with lockdowns, because of which movies got delayed. So people who are movie producers, they are under pressure. Companies that have bought the music of those movies, we are under pressure because our music is not able to get released. I think somewhere some kind of a relief is needed out here just to ensure that the industry remains live and throbbing. Remember, from the soft power perspective, there is nothing like entertainment. There is I think very smartly we have used right now yoga, and which is becoming I feel a lot of pride when I go abroad and people no longer call us the world of snake charmers. Now people have started associating yoga, which has got such a positive tone to it. They connect that with our country, and it gives me pride. According to me, the entertainment world of ours can do the same thing for India.
Yes, definitely there is. And this is rightly what you pointed out. We have been hearing that as well because of this COVID related disruption. The industry at many places, especially the junior artists or the upcoming singers and others, they have faced a lot of financial issues last year in terms of disruption of their work, and maybe some kind of an incentive from the government would actually help them.
I think it will go a very, very long way. The government is extremely progressive. I've seen the way policy framework is changing here. They're very supportive of the industry, and I'm very, very confident that something will come our way.
And in terms of the infrastructure, are you happy with the current infrastructure, like in terms of the studios and the facilities and the equipments?
Are you or I happy with anything which is there? No. That's the natural human inclination that you achieve a particular point and then you want things better. Do we want much better theatrical venues in our country? Yes. Do I want arenas right now where public performance can happen in a very smooth fashion and in a large scale? Absolutely yes. I think we still have a long way to go, but this is not the country um, of 1980s and 90s where we did not have hope. We have seen a lot of progress being made by our country over the last couple of decades, and I'm very, very sure right now that we're on the right path.
Thank you very much, Vikram, for giving your time and for your wonderful insights. And I have kind of got answers to all my questions. And thank you for being there with us. Do you want to have any last minute, your last minute words about the future of the industry, what you think about it and our sector?
The future is bright. I'm telling you, that's the amazing thing about entertainment. Whether the economy is going up or the economy is going down, if there's one part right now which is in that sense a recession-proof area is entertainment. Because
And all mediums are going to coexist, as I hear.
they are. Listen, at the end of the day, there is a place for everything. There is a place for theater, there's a place for television, there is a place for digital platforms, and there is a place for free platforms like YouTube and Facebook also. So different consumers are going to watch content in different ways. Only thing which is changing now is you better make content which is compelling enough, because now and somebody living in a small town also can access Spanish content. So if we don't get our act together, forget winning international audience. We may end up losing our domestic audience to international creators.
And the one last help that we as researchers request you as industry stalwart is like, data. If you can help me in getting a lot of data collected, data analyzed, that really helps us when we design policies or help policies in terms of trade agreements and, and other areas. I hope that, through your music through your associations, you will help us with
We'll
that.
be very, very, listen, Blaise Fernandez, who's the president of our Indian music industry, the Apex body, I'll have a chat with him also, and we'll be very, very happy to help you. At the end of the day, you are also not doing for yourself, you're doing for the betterment of the industry only. So we'll be more than forthcoming.
Thank you very much. Thank you for spending so much time with us, and thank you for your wonderful insight. Have a great day.
Thank you.